Good afternoon. You are tuned into Ability Matters, a program that covers matters to do with abilities, disabilities and everything in between. Ability Matters is one of the longest running disability-related programs in the whole wide world. Starting as Headway On Air in 2007, you can now listen to podcasts of previous Ability Matters programs on YouTube and Spotify. Just search for Ability Matters. Ability Matters is brought to you by My Home Living Care, an NDIS registered disability.
Thank you very much, My Home Living Care. Good to have your support. Okay, I'm your host, Tony Sconimilio, and this is Ability Matters on your station, 106.9 VOX FM. Of course, my co-host, Beck from Flagstaff.
Hey, how you going, Tony?
Good, Beck. Thanks so much for reminding me how to... Yeah, it's okay.
You're all right.
Good stuff. And we have a special guest today.
We do. We have Jake from Interchange Illawarra, and he's going to chat to us about what Interchange Illawarra does and a bit about the NDIS changes that were recently announced.
Beautiful. Well, I'll just fix up his microphone just quickly and then we'll go from there.
Yes, so we're going to have a chat and we're going to get into some music first, and then we'll come back to you and we'll hear all the wonderful things that Jake has to say.
Rightio. Well, he's certainly got a bright smile, so that's very promising.
He has. It's a shame it's not on camera.
Yeah.
It's good to be here.
Got the face for camera too. Lovely. Okay, I'm going to open up today with a 80s classic, Huey Lewis and the News, Do You Believe in Love from 1982, album Picture This. VOX. Okay, I just opened today's show with Huey Lewis and the News, Do You Believe in Love from 1982 album, forget the name, Picture This. Yes, there we go. That's what we have for...
Cool.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Tony. That was a good opener. I like it.
Lovely.
So, thank you for coming and spending so much time with us here this morning. I know you've been out preparing for the CEO sleep out as well this morning, so you're a busy man.
Yeah. So the official launch for the Illawarra's CEO sleep out fundraiser
just to
happened this morning,
listeners,
which is great.
Beck across the road Beck across the desk there was just talking with today's guest, Jake Pearson, yes? I forget his name.
He's from Interchange Illawarra. All good. No, so continue.
Yeah. So we had the launch of the CEO sleep out that's run by Vinnies every year. So we've got 18 CEOs from around the Illawarra that are going to try and raise some money for people doing it tough and people who are living rough. So it was an opportunity to get together and start our fundraising campaigns and do some good for the Illawarra.
So for those people out there that might want to contribute to that, do they just go onto the Vinnies website and they're all listed there?
Yeah, that's right. If people just Google Vinnies CEO Sleep Out, you'll be able to click on Wollongong and see all of the participants and make a donation, and donations go directly to people in the Illawarra that really need it. So it's a great cause.
So on to Interchange Illawarra. Can you share what that is? Because some people may not be aware of what you guys do.
Yeah, sure. So Interchange Illawarra is a non-for-profit organisation. So we're a disability service. We service, provide supports to people with disabilities in the Illawarra. So from around about Helensburgh to Gerringong. Long-term provider. We work in with other providers and provide a number of different supports. So we provide in-home supports and community-based supports and support coordination and a number of different services that people with disabilities and their families need to live a great life.
Awesome. That sounds exciting and sounds like you're covering a broad range of different things that you're doing there.
Yeah. Look, I'm quite lucky. I've been here for nearly 19 years. So
oh, wow. That's a long time.
Yeah, so I've got to know lots of people that use the services and their families, and it's a wonderful organisation, and I'm very lucky to be here.
I'm just going to go ad hoc here and go off the questions for a moment. What actually got you into disability work? What made you decide to go down that pathway?
Well, that's a really interesting question. It's not something that I deliberately got into. I studied HR at uni, and I always wanted to work with people and help people and do stuff like that. And like a lot of graduates, I took a job in Sydney working for a private firm, and it was dreadful the way they treated people. And I didn't see that that's what I wanted to spend my time doing. The whole idea was to do a job where I could help people. And I was lucky enough to pick up a job more than 25 years ago now, working at Flagstaff.
Oh, wow.
Wonderful.
So I worked there in the factories, teaching people how to do basic jobs, and that progressed into an entire career in the sector.
Wow, that's awesome.
It was just luck that I managed to get that job, and
Shame we never crossed paths.
No.
Sorry, just cutting in there now. You said you had a degree in HR, human resources.
That's
well,
right.
This sort of disability work is essentially human resources too, isn't it?
It's all about people.
Lovely.
That's right. It's all about people and training and development and all the stuff that I really wanted to do. I just didn't realise this is where it was going to be, and it's worked out really well.
So you haven't exactly stepped far away from your original intentions, even though they weren't down on paper.
Not at all. As a matter of fact, it's probably as close to what I wanted as you could possibly imagine. I just didn't know this is how it was going to end out.
Didn't see it at the time. Lovely.
Happy accident.
Beautiful.
I love those. So I'm just wondering, as CEO, which parts of the organisation do you look after?
That's an interesting question. So technically speaking, as the CEO, I look after all of the parts of the business. But I'm very lucky. Interchange has got a wonderful team of people. So we've got people that look after finance and marketing and running the services and stuff like that. And essentially my job is to make sure that all of those parts work together, and they work together in a way that helps us to provide services that improve the lives of people with disabilities and those that care for them. So it's a very varied job. It's an interesting job, and I'm very lucky to have so much variety and to work with some great people.
I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of the best analogy here for your job as CEO. Would that be maybe puppeteer? Are you pulling the strings?
Well, maybe jack of all trades is probably the better one. We've got to know a little bit about everything.
Beautiful.
Sounds like it's exciting to be in that position, and also to work closely with a big team of people and have them all contribute their little bits and pieces to make everything run smoothly.
Yeah, for sure. It's great to work with passionate people.
Yes, yeah. Do we want to go to a song?
Wonderful. I was just thinking, why not? Well, it's a lovely day. Well, the sunshine at the moment. I'm just thinking, it's almost a daydream out there, so I want to play this song here by The Loving Spoonful, Daydream, 1966, self-titled album, Daydream. There it goes, lovely. Yes, that was just The Loving Spoonful with Daydream, 1966 self-titled album, Daydream. And then Daydream, sorry. And let's just jump straight back into the interview between Beck and Jake. Go for it.
Awesome, thank you. So I wanted to make sure we dedicated enough time to this one that we're going to chat about now, Jake, because it does mean a lot of changes for people. So what were the recently announced things with NDIS, and what do they mean?
Right, well, it's been a pretty big week for disability, as a matter of fact. So the Minister, Mark Butler, made some quite significant announcements about reforming the NDIS and how people will receive funding for disability supports. Not a lot of it was an incredible surprise because a lot of the recommendations were made through the Royal Commission final report and also the NDIS report, which are both more than 2 years old. So not heaps of surprises. One of the things that did surprise the industry was the announcement of significant reductions in people's community participation funding, which is the funding that people use to get out and about and do things, ordinary things that people without a disability do in the community. We were really quite disappointed to hear about how people's plans were going to be significantly reduced.
So that might be, say you have some issues with transport or something like that, and you need someone to help take you to a crafts group or knitting or... That's
exactly right. So funding to have a support worker for people that need support in the community to get out and about and do ordinary things in ordinary places. And you know, we affirm that that's a human right, and if people need support to do those things that others can do unsupported, then that's what they should receive.
Yeah, so that would that even include things like going to get your groceries and stuff?
Yeah, so there's
which is kind of an essential thing that you need to have.
Yeah, so it's a real challenge, and there's not a lot of detail around at the moment, but we certainly, the intentions and the direct comments from the minister were that they were looking to substantially reduce funding in that area. One of the other areas that we are a bit concerned about is the introduction of a new assessment tool, where all people who are currently on the scheme or trying to get on the scheme will be reassessed, and funding will be allocated based on the results of this new assessment tool. History has taught us that whenever assessment tools are changed, there's usually a view to reducing overall cost of the scheme. So we're very concerned that this might mean that some people, particularly people with autism, may actually be left out, and some people will actually exit the scheme. And in fact, the government has talked specifically about reducing the amount of people on the NDIS by 160,000 in the next 4 years. That's a lot of people. We're very worried about how those people are going to do without the funding.
You said with autism. Now, I believe that's classed as well as a hidden disability or semi.
Yeah, it most definitely can be, particularly those people who have quite high-functioning autism, and a number of other different disabilities that aren't particularly visible, and we're very concerned that some of those people are going to be left behind.
So basically what you were trying to say, I think what you're trying to say is, unless you look the part, they don't want to provide the money, yes? Potentially.
Yes. That's some of the concerns, and again, the details are very hard to find at the moment, and we're waiting for government to clarify some of these really big comments.
Very blurred.
Yeah, they are.
I'm interested about that. They're going to reduce it by 160,000 people. What about the 160,000 people in the next 5 years that might need something like that?
Well, that's where the details are going to matter. It's really important for us to try and for the government to clarify exactly how they're going to achieve these goals, and certainly the industry believes that the new assessment tool is going to be used for some of that stuff. So we're watching very carefully to try and understand how this is going to impact on people.
So I'm just curious, isn't it like the assessment, is that like when Centrelink does a means test and
a reevaluation
rates against certain...
something along those lines. Thankfully, the NDIS is not means tested. So it means that irrespective of how much wealth you have, it's a universal system, a little bit like Medicare. So it means that every Australian can qualify for services. So the assessment isn't necessarily based on wealth, but it's based on the person's capacity and their requirement for supports.
Conditions, right.
That's it. But it's not all bad news. There are some good parts of some of the announced reforms. And one of those is the government's intention to significantly increase the types of supports that require organisations and providers to be registered. So most people don't know that only 6% of all providers, so these are organisations providing NDIS services, are actually registered and accredited. Only 6%.
Wow. 6%.
6%.
That's a big
That's 6 out of 100.
So,
wow.
and the government has, as part of the announcements last week, has formally acknowledged that as a result of not having any oversight over who's providing those services, that fraud's been an incredible problem. So there is an opportunity to bring everybody up to a basic standard of accreditation, and for the government to have more oversight on what they're paying for, and that will significantly...
basically just writing a blank check and here you go.
Yeah, so we the government at the moment estimates that fraud is somewhere in between $2.5 and $5 billion a year.
That's a lot of money.
So an opportunity to have oversight and regulation and registration and stuff like that will substantially reduce the cost of the scheme and stop organised crime infiltrating the NDIS and taking money away from those people that need it the most.
Do we know of the it's probably a deep question now, but do we know how much this reevaluation of the subject of the clients on the NDIS is going to actually work in the end?
Well, that's a really interesting question, and the short answer is no. So there's two things happening at the same time. One of them is that people with disability who are participants of the scheme are being reassessed, and the other part of it is providers are now going to be expected to go through
the same
an accreditation process as well. The good news of all of this is that Wollongong has an incredible amount of really wonderful non-for-profit providers, all of whom are registered. So probably some of the organisations that people would know around Wollongong are part of that 6%. So if I think about Interchange Illawarra, and I think about Flagstaff, and I think about Greenacres, and I think about the Disability Trust and the Cram Foundation, all of those organisations are both non-for-profit and they're all registered. So we're the good guys. And as a community, we've been pushing for a number of years to make sure that the government understands the problems that are out there, and we've been pushing for mandatory registration. So we think this is going to be a good protection for people with disabilities and their families.
Yeah, and make sure that the quality of care and the service that they're actually receiving is to a acceptable standard.
Yeah.
Because you have some people that might be out there that might... I know personal experience now, but I know someone that went to the hospital and thought they had the best care in the world, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
I don't think you know, because you're not Indian regularly enough to know. That's not very good.
Because I'm not saying you have to be, it's best to be that frequent a visitor to the hospital to actually realise what variants of levels of care you're actually getting in a hospital or should be getting in a hospital.
Yeah, and so that's just one example, but to have that in the home.
Oh, home,
and,
Yeah, that's right. So I guess the message for listeners is that if you do have an NDIS plan, the first thing you should do is make sure that any provider that you talk to or that you decide to use, make sure they're registered. Make sure they're registered, because that means that they're going through regular checks, and they have to provide training to their staff, and they have to have minimum screening, like working with children's checks and police checks, that unregistered providers don't. So there's a whole range of reasons why it's a really good idea to make sure that you're only using registered providers, because creating registration for the entire industry is going to take time. So in the meantime, we want to make sure that people understand that those benefits of having the protection of having a registered provider.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like it's the way to go.
So the way what I just got from all that then is that, simply put, registration of a provider means they've jumped through the correct hoops. Yes?
That's exactly right. It means they've been independently audited by another body, and it means there's a whole pile of stuff that they regularly have to do to prove that their services are high quality.
Are still up to code.
That's right.
Wonderful. So registration is worth anything extra that you may find. Yes.
So for anyone that's having someone at the moment that doesn't have that registration, I think it's worth asking the question, are they going to get that in the near future? And if not, maybe look at someone that has that you know that you're going to get what you need.
Okay, well, I think it's time I just cut out for a quick little song here. I've got here the Australian man Johnny Diesel, under the name Diesel, with the well-known song Come To Me. However, this is the UK version, which was released in 1993. The original version here in Australia was released in 1991. And this version here, I've noticed it's got quite a little bit of an orchestral strings part attached to the introduction, but let's have a listen now. There it is. Okay, we're just going to jump straight back into the interview between Beck from Flagstaff and Jake Pearson from Interchange, the CEO. Yes.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Tony. So we briefly touched on who this is going to impact mostly. But what are some of those things around fraud, and what were some of the things that were spoken about that are going to be like a flashing light now?
Well, that's a really interesting question, Beck. One of the things that was quite notable about Minister Butler's address last week was that for the very first time the government's taken responsibility for many of the scheme's failings. Prior to his presentation last week, it was the government's rhetoric was around blaming participants and providers for the scheme's shortcomings. But one of the things he talked about was that the actual design of the scheme and how the agency oversees the market are the things that's created all the opportunities for fraud and deceit and all those things as well. I think one of the really the most shocking parts of his presentation, and I'll read a quote now to demonstrate that. is some acknowledgement around some of that shortcomings. So one of the things he said is the Fraud Fusion Task Force we established shortly after coming into government has identified 8 reoccurring design failures in long-standing government programs. So that's all programs, making them susceptible to fraud, and the NDIS has all 8 of these.
So it's essentially leaving a door open for the fraud to be sneaking in.
That's right. And then he went on to say it also identified 7 fundamental building blocks for high integrity programs, and noted the NDIS has none of those.
So there's a lot of chinks in the chain there.
So
that's exactly right.
So it's like not having an antivirus on your computer.
Yeah, something like that. So at the same time we've got a government program that's looking to shrink the NDIS, but at the same time they need to reform the checks and balances to try and address fraud. So this will be the single biggest transformation of the NDIS since it was created more than 10 years ago.
So I'm just wondering, just out of curiosity, that if you changed all these significant problems, would that address a lot of what needs to happen without having to cut people off?
well, that's certainly what the industry, and particularly the non-for-profit industry, is advocating for. Our argument is that if the government gets their act together and makes these reforms and they're able to stop fraud, then we can potentially, as a country, save up to $5 billion a year that's being spent.
And that's a lot.
Yeah, and that's money that's going out the door that's not providing services. So the scheme can be $5 billion a year cheaper without impacting a single person with a disability. So that's a great place to start in my view, before we start cutting people's plans.
Yeah, so it's not the people's fault that this is how the system is.
And that's right. And I think taxpayers throughout the entire community demand that their taxpayer dollars be spent wisely and go to the causes that they're supposed to be directed to. And I'm a taxpayer as well. I don't want to see my taxpayer dollars. Yeah, I don't want to see my taxpayer dollars going to fraud either. So our argument is that the government should focus on that part first, and then there's an opportunity for them to look at other savings and other opportunities.
Oh, yeah. So I think, fixing those major glitches,
blunders,
as we call them, major glitches in what's happening at the moment, I think that's probably the first protocol.
We would think so, and we hope that the government will take that sensible approach, and that some of those savings will mean that some of the cutbacks don't have to be as harsh as perhaps they're talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sorry, but just hearing all of you saying that sort of thing there, all these wages being left open for people to exploit, that's just... I think maybe that's just a governmental thing, that they can leave the doorways open so they can take money, skim off the top sort of thing, and you can't always say it's just all the governments are the same, but that's just too politics now, so get back to it now.
Getting into it.
Yeah, well, look, I think the main thing that everybody needs to focus on is making sure that any taxpayer money that's going towards disability services makes it to the person who needs it.
Goes to the right places, that's right, yes.
Exactly. So I suppose... here I'll ask you if there are any projects or groups that you currently have at Interchange Illawarra that you'd like to talk about.
Yeah, we've always got plenty of stuff going on at the moment. Some of our social support programs, we've got a lot of interesting things going on at the moment. We have centre-based programs where people can come and enjoy a day of activities and skill building with a group of peers. We've got some vacancies coming up, and certainly looking at helping school leavers, so kids with disabilities that are leaving school this year, to come and have a look around and see if this is something that perhaps something that people might want to do with some of their time, and not necessarily full time, but come and have a look and see if some of our programs and activities are right for them.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
That's how I started myself, even though I wasn't a school leaver, but... Yeah, I tested the waters here and there with different programs, that sort of thing, and found a place that I was happy with. It was just, back in the day, it was Headway, Illawarra, but now it's been absorbed, I'll say, by the Disability Trust, and now I've long moved on from there. I'm going to a place called Bungy, Bunjy or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Bungy, I'm not sure what the attached name is, maybe Bungy Illawarra or something like that. I'm not sure, but great service too.
Yeah, so there's plenty of great opportunities in Wollongong. And again, I just remind people that when you're thinking about services, make sure they're registered. Make sure that if you have an NDIS plan, you want to make sure you get the best value for money and those quality services for that funding.
Get maximum out of your money, yes.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah,
One more? Yeah, okay, go for it, Beck, go for it.
So I'm just wondering, Jake, how people can get in contact with you to find out more.
Well, there's a number of different ways that people can do so. We've got people can contact the office by phone on 4227 1079. Probably the best way to contact us, though, would be to log onto our website, so www.interchange.illawarra.org. There's plenty of information on our services and programs, and there's inquiry forms, and there's everything you need to and then somebody from the office will contact you.
I'm just assuming that Interchange Illawarra is just all one word?
All one word, that's right. interchange.illawarra.org. And again, plenty of information there. People can check out some of our stuff on social media.
Are you on LinkedIn or Facebook or both?
Yeah, we do Facebook and Insta and LinkedIn and all that kind of stuff.
So basically all the other social whatsies, yeah?
That's
social,
right.
Yeah.
And the other option, people can just rock up to our office at 114 Church Street and come and have a look around.
First person at the top of the invitation in a long time to come in the office.
Yeah, that's
face
right.
to face, that's the best way.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So plenty of ways people can find out about what we do.
And of course, I'm assuming that your email would just be interchange.
The email is just info at interchange.illawarra.org.
I'm just querying because I'm not 100% myself on it. Do you do things for younger children or? Yeah,
we don't do lots of stuff for very young children, and certainly part of these reforms are looking to potentially provide supports to younger children through the state system, not the NDIS. So that's probably not something that's going to be looking forward. So for us, it's more around sort of starting in that early high school and beyond for us.
School kind of age.
Yeah, and we do some programs for high school age kids and some other stuff as well.
So more
and definitely
maybe,
young people.
So more aimed at maybe a young adult sort of thing.
Yeah, young adults and adults as well. And we've got different groups for different age groups and different programs and stuff like that.
Different programs that fit different age dynamics. Yes,
that's right.
Wonderful. Okay, well I'm just gonna jump back into the music now. I've got next line up is Jojo Zepp and the Falcons with Shape I'm In from 1979 album Screaming Targets. Then we'll see where we go from there after that. Got me in the shape I'm in. Okay, yes, that was just Jojo Zepp and the Falcons with Shape I'm In from 1979 album Screaming Targets. Now let's go back to the finish up from the interview between Beck from Flagstaff and Jake from Interchange.
Yeah,
wow.
So you remembered, see, in repetition.
Of course.
What that lady Monique was talking about, repetition. Yes. You get it.
I'm a big fan of repetition. That's like the mental training. As long as you repeat yourself, it gets
that pathway.
It gets. I'll use the term embedded, but I'm not sure if that's the correct term. But it's like going over the same footsteps.
Similar, retracing, But yes, thank you so much, Jake, for coming on and talking to us today about Interchange Illawarra and also letting us know about the changes and what that might mean for people.
Particularly to the NDIS, which affects a lot of people in this world that we know right now, yes?
Yeah, no, look, it's a pleasure. I'd always like to come in and chat about some of this stuff. It's I guess the message that I'd had for listeners is that while some of the stuff's very concerning, there's some opportunities to make the scheme really wonderful and to improve the services people are getting. This is a world-leading disability system. There's no system that's as well-resourced and as good and flexible as the one we've got here in Australia, and we should all be very proud of it. And it supports 700,000 Australians. So whilst we can sit here and talk about the doom and gloom and some of the problems, it's really good and encouraging to hear that some of the real problems are being fixed, and we all should be proud of our NDIS.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's doing some wonderful stuff, making a lot of difference to people's lives.
Of course, we're all well aware that everything you always see on the news, especially like a current affair and things like that, is always the doom and gloom, which you were just talking then about the NDIS and everything like that. But I've been on it since the beginning, and I've had nothing but positive things from my personal angle, and yes, there we go.
Well, that's it. That's all it's really about, making sure that everyone's getting what they want and what they need at the same time.
That's exactly it.
But bottom line, at the end of this little conversation here, I've always had in the back of my head that the NDIS registered is basically the big green flag to look for instead of red flags, like just people saying, oh yeah, we're NDIS covered. Unless you can see it in writing or anything like that, they'd be very fishy smelling, to put it that way. Is that the way it's saying?
No, that's exactly
suspicious?
right.
Yeah.
If you choose a registered provider, you know you're getting quality.
Exactly.
And I think that's an important message for people to have a think about.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. I know you're a busy man, Jake, and you're probably headed off somewhere to do something else again.
My pleasure. Thanks very much.
Thank you
Thanks
very
a
much
lot.
for being here.
We'll have
Jake.
you again to talk about some more stuff once something pops up.
For sure.
Or maybe we'll get you back just for a bit of an update down the track, yes?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Once we find out some more details, I'll come in and have a chat.
More about that, yeah.
Yes, lovely.